Hello, and welcome to Once Upon a Time in Black History. I'm your host, Tamara Shiloh, author, educator, and owner of the Multicultural Bookstore in Richmond, California. This is my new podcast that can be heard on Anchor, Apple, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Check us out and be sure to visit my website at onceuponatimeInBlackHistory.com. So today we'll be talking about the music of blind Tom Wiggins. Now, some individuals with autism possess extraordinary skills not exhibited by most persons. They are called savants. Thomas Blind Tom Wiggins was an African-American autistic savant, musical prodigy who mastered the piano. With numerous original compositions published and a long-running successful performance career, he did become one of the best-known American pianists. Thomas was born blind at birth on May 25th, 1849. Now, baby Tom and his parents were sold in 1850 to General James Neal Bethune. And because he was blind, he could not do the work required of most slaves. So, in the slave owner's eyes, he was of no value. First, there was talking of killing him, but later they decided to just leave him alone. Well, that was certainly good news for Tom because this allowed him to explore the plantation. Young Tom developed an early interest in the piano after hearing it played by Bethune's daughters. So, by the time he was 4 years old, he could play the piano by ear. They would eventually allow him to play the piano, and by the time he was 5 years old, he had composed his first tune, The Rainstorm. This piece was created after he was listening to the rhythm of a rainstorm pounding against the roof. Now that is genius at 5 years old. In fact, Tom could repeat any sound he heard, from animals around the farm to birds in the trees. And how about this? He was able to mimic conversations and recount a political speech made by a presidential candidate, including the boos and cheers of the crowd. When he was 9 years old, his owners figured they might as well start making money with Tom and his piano skills. So he was hired out as a slave musician. 1 year later, he became the first African American to play at the White House, performing before then-President James Buchanan. Now, two of his piano pieces, Oliver Gallup and Virginia Polka, were published in 1860. Now, moving right along. By age 16, he mastered the difficult music of Bach, Chopin, Liszt, Beethoven, and Thalberg. He could play a piece after hearing them only once and memorize poems and texts in foreign languages. And of course, many did not believe that Tom could do this by just listening to them, so he was often challenged. Audience would have him listen to and then perform 2 new uncirculated compositions. And of course, he always did so perfectly. This challenge would eventually become part of his performance. Tom's most famous work was The Battle of Manassas, tells the story of the Confederate Army's 1861 victory at the Battle of Bull Run. This piece of music was not supported by the black media, who refused to write about Tom because they felt he was just a source of profit for slaveholders. Tom successfully toured throughout Europe. There was even a booklet printed entitled The Marvelous Music Prodigy Blind Tom. Well, in April 1908, he suffered a major stroke and died the following June. He was buried in the cemetery of the Evergreens in Brooklyn, New York. No original recordings of Blind Tom appear to exist. His sheet music is available, but only a small number of musicians have ever recorded his original songs. Now imagine that.